Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Monday, March the 11th. What looked like was going to be a really slow day turned out to be a pretty decent day. There weren't a whole lot of entries today, but there were enough, and there were enough good entries to where there were some pretty good moves. It was a little late in the morning before the best part of the move really took off, but basically all we had was an upward sloping channel. And if you were like me, you might have had this channel off just a little. I believe this is the correct channel. I originally drew mine off the first two swings, but you can see it still worked out exactly the same. And you might have, if you had it drawn this way earlier, you might have thought that there was a trend line break, but it doesn't matter. There's your first trend line break. You're moved to a new high. It all worked out in the wash. So this is what I'm saying. A lot of times you'll hear me say, as long as you get the line close, it generally doesn't matter. And in this case, if you drew it off the first two swings, it would have looked like this, and that would have been close enough. But I believe this to be the correct channel, and I got that dropped by drawing it off these two swings. And again, I had it like this first, but it just didn't seem to fit. So later, when I connected these three and pulled it down, then I was even more sure that I had it right. I really connected it off these first two, and you can see if you drag that down. So I felt pretty confident that that was probably it, but you still would have gotten all of these same, from here on, you would have had these same setups no matter how you drew it. So same deal. We have a little resistance here at 44.50 or 44.75 or so, but once we got through there, we made a breakout pullback. We broke about, we pulled back, kind of tested that area, bounced off the EMA, and that's a breakout pullback long, and off we took, or off we went. And but anyway, clear channel there. Didn't really matter how you got. Normally your trend line will be off the first couple of swings. And again, originally I had mine drawn there, but you still would have got these same setups, and it wouldn't have mattered if you were off, if you drew it like this or if you drew it the other way. You might have had more trouble finding the highs, but generally when you start to see prices, getting hung up at the same area, draw a trend line on that and test it, and then drag it down, or same thing off the low and drag it up. Generally, if you're having a problem finding it on one side, it's real clear on the other. So you can use either side to try to find the channel. And, 9 times out of 10, if I can't find it on the low side, I'll find it off the high side and drag it down, and you'll see it fit like a glove. And that's usually a good sign that you got it right. A couple things. I was a little later getting in here today, so I didn't take any earlier morning trades. I really just kind of marked from 8:30 on today. And I might as well go ahead and mention this. This is spring break week for me here, and I'm sure it is for a lot of other places. So my kids are out of school, and so I was kind of off my usual pattern today with the kids being home and all. So I was a little later getting out the door and getting here. And I may even take a couple of days off this week. If I do, it's probably just going to be spontaneous and by ear. So if I know I'm leaving, I'll let you know. If you don't find a chart lesson 1 or 2 days this week, then you'll probably know I took off just spontaneously to spend some time with my kids, and since they're out of school this week. It was really a kind of a nasty day here earlier, but the sun's out now. It's chilly, but it's bright and sunny, not a cloud in the sky, so it looks like a kind of a spring day outside. So if it continues to stay this way during the week, I'll probably spend some time with my kids this week and kind of go from there. But I'll let you know if I know in advance that we plan something. If I just disappear sporadically, you'll know why during the week. And I may come in a little bit later than my usual, getting started around 7. I may come in later, things like that, like I did today. But, coming in later won't really change anything. Everything will be pretty much standard as far as the chart lessons and all, as long as I come in. But if there's not a chart lesson, it means I probably didn't come in that day. So, but let's talk about the trades. Again, there were a couple of really good trades. It was, it was really slow and it like nothing was going to happen today. But this is why you can't sometimes give up on it. If you're getting frustrated, the worst thing you can do is force yourself into a trade. And I know at least one person did that today. I got an email, said they got bored and, impatient, and they forced a trade and they lost money. So you can't do that. You got to be patient. You got to wait and wait for the setups, because if you get impatient, you'll cost yourself some money. So, but let's talk about the first trade. This was not long after the open. There's a two-legged correction here, but more than that, there was more than one reason to enter this trade, and you can kind of see that double bottom right there. You might have even had it here. You had these three matching lows, and we broke below it. That's a failed break lower. Look at all that overlap, all those dojis. And but also look, you're coming back. There's your first entry. You pull back. That's a second entry long right there. It wasn't the prettiest bar, but because of this failed break, I think it was worth taking. It's a failed second entry short as well. Enough reasons to go long right there. And you can see there was enough room to get out before you got back to these highs. Easy scalp. It ended up coming back, taking any runners, so no runners off that. But notice that we just did the same thing again. We're just at a little bit higher place. Notice all the overlap. There it is again, the little failed break lower, the reversal. I actually went long above this bar. If you didn't there, you should have considered this one. The only problem with that was by the time you get in here, you're getting real close, so it might have been better to drop a limit order in here, and you can see it would have come back. But this was a nice, depending on where you entered, you probably didn't get any runners on this one, but then it pulls back, and guess what? It reverses again, and it comes back, and notice how it couldn't close below that previous line. That's a nice little reversal bar. And again, it made me nervous. I entered right here, and it made me nervous when that ended as a doji, but I just kept my stop. I moved my stop up below this bar right here, hung on, and you see it broke on out, went higher, and I actually exited at the highs, but here was a chance to get back long. Usually I'll put these in green, but if you had the trend line going up through here, I mean, this is obvious that we're probably going higher, and that's a nice reversal bar right off the EMA, and nice place to get long. And this one took off. Your runners were more than likely safe on this one, depending on, and notice there's a little double bottom right there and that little one tick too. That's a real bearish bar. It probably trapped a lot of shorts right there, but then it takes off. And I did draw this one in green. This is a two-legged pullback. It didn't even get back to the EMA, but that just, the market was getting strong now. The buyers were coming in. But notice that there's one leg back, pull back, second leg went a little further. Your entry's right there, and it took on off, another easy scalp. It took a minute to get through. It had a little hesitation at the resistance there, but it got on through, and it continued to find resistance all the way up. And notice how it just keeps working higher. That's a good sign. Notice how there's nothing much below the EMA from this point on. That's a pretty strong trend. And this one, this is really, notice you got a high, you come back, you pull up, and you come back. This is a two-legged, but even on a bigger picture, even though this ticked higher, that's close enough. Look at that. Can you see that? One leg, pull back, second leg. That's still close enough to be a two-legged correction. Notice the matching lows, the break below it, the reversal. Again, that means you could go long above that little doji. Probably better to drop a limit order in there and see if you could get filled on it, a tick or toe back into that bar. And that's what I did. I just dropped it right there on the top and got filled. And another easy scalp. And then look what we get, another two-legged correction back to the trend line. And by this time, you should have figured out your trend line was a little bit lower. And look at that reversal bar, a nice place to enter once again. Again, it struggles to get on through there, but just keeps working higher. And that's a sign of a strong trend. This is not as strong as some trends we've seen lately, but when you're seeing lots of overlapping bars and you just keep going higher and higher and higher, and there's a bunch of notice this pattern here. This is just the same thing right here. Notice you got all the overlapping bars in the failed break lower, all the overlapping bars, the failed break lower. Look right here, all the overlapping bars, the failed break lower. That's 1, 2, 3 repeat patterns that you could have entered on, and all of them nice setups, nice places. And then of course, if you found this channel by this time and you're just waiting on a setup right here, and that's a beautiful, notice that little 1 tick lower, turns and goes up, nice place to get long, and it was another quick scalp. And any runners would have been still going on this one if you had runners. Of course, the market closed, but actually this trade and this entry right here could have both kept you runners. This one would have had some runners for a while too. So these last few trades were getting better each time. And that's really all there was today. There were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, possibly 7 entries. And somebody said something the other day. There's, I think what they're basically trying to do is they told me that they took some trades that I didn't mention, but yet they still worked. Well, I only mentioned the key entry points, the high probability trades. It doesn't mean there aren't other trade setups in there that meet our criteria, but what we want to do is try to enter on a trending day as pullbacks to the EMA or the trend line. That's where we're looking. Those are the key entry points. When we go into these ranges, we're looking for failed breaks, and since we're stepping higher here, we're looking for failed breaks out the low side or breakout pullback longs. So there may be some other setups that I don't talk about, but and they may work, but that's the reason you may have that. You may just get lucky. Sometimes you get lucky, like if you counter trend traded up here, you might have gotten lucky and got a short here. I didn't mention it earlier, but somewhere right in here, I think it was right here, I took a short. I dropped a limit order right there. It ticked up and filled it. It came down, filled my 4 ticks, and I was done. Or actually, it was right here, and it ticked up and came back and filled my order. And, but I'm not going to talk about that because I don't want people that aren't profitable trying to take trades like that. And I probably shouldn't have mentioned it because ultimately I'll probably get 50 questions about how'd you do that? Will you talk some more about that? But no, I don't really want to talk more about that because if you do it, the odds are you're going to lose. It's a counter trend trade, and it's a much more aggressive trade. It's a much more advanced trade. And if you're not making money with the regular trades, you don't even need to be thinking about advanced trades. So don't take that the wrong way. But I'm teach what I teach because I want to help you get to where you can make money. I don't want to set you up for something that takes even longer to learn when you're just trying to learn the basics at this point. So stick to the key entry points, which are almost sure things on the pullbacks to the EMA and the trend line. Those are almost sure things. And no sense in trying to do anything. If you just use this one pattern, two-legged pullbacks to the EMA and the trend line, you could make all the money you ever want to make if you don't learn anything but that. That's all you need. Look, here's one, here's one, here's another one, here's one. This is basically one. This is one. This is one. Every one of those. If you just waited for a pullback to the EMA and the trend line, and when they're together, like right in here, they're even stronger. If you just wait for that and then wait for the setup, you just, they're, especially on trending days. And you can notice really from about 8:30 after the open, almost everything's above the EMA till right here. That's the first time we got below the EMA, way up here near the close of the day. And we did get a couple of closes below it there, but then that was it. And for the most part, from 8:30 on, right in here, 8:45, something like that, most everything was above the EMA. That's a sign that, it's a trend. It's a bull. We're trending up. And why anybody was trying to short this all the way up, which I got some emails from people, not picking on you, but there's no reason to be shorting this because you're probably going to lose money if you do. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. And hopefully you had a good trading day. Again, We'll kind of play the week out as it goes, but I may be in and out more sporadically than normal just because it's spring break and my kids are out of school, and if the weather's nice, I may spend some time with them. So um, unless something like that happens, I will see you tomorrow. And hope you had a good trading day, and hopefully this will be a good trading week for you. What started out to be a very slow day ended up looking really nice in the end. So you never know. Just be patient and wait until you see what's going to happen and take the setups as they come, because you never know when you're going to get one like this that breaks out and takes off, and you catch a nice runner on it and make 4, 5, 6, 10 points out of it, or maybe more. So just be patient. You're better off to skip a trade or not take trades than to try to force trades. So just follow the rules, and if you follow the rules, you'll probably be in good shape. So I'm going to wrap it up. This is back with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.